We're on. All right. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have moved our team call to Wednesday this week. So Wednesday, October 11th. And you guys, I am so excited to have Audrey on the call. I have known Audrey for quite a while now. She is a New Yorker. So whenever I would fly in and out of New York to events, we always would run into each other. We've been elite coaches together the last 3 years. So it's always great to get to know these other leaders at events and really be able to, bring them on to have them share their knowledge and what they really speak best on to other teams. It's one of my favorite things about this network is that there's no competition. All the leaders are always happy to share with each other and really help in any way they can because, a rising tide lifts all ships, right? We're all better, when everybody shares. So for you guys that don't know Audrey, you guys, are you ready for this? So not only is she a 3-time elite coach, she is a 7-star diamond in her first business center. She is a 5-star diamond in her second business center and diamond in your third, right? Diamond in her third. She has 58 months in Success Club, guys. So there's the big secret right there. Show up every month, hit Success Club. She is a wife, she is a boy mom, and she is here to talk to us tonight about developing a business ethic. So thank you for taking the time to hop on with us tonight, Audrey. I am going to mute myself and let you sort of just take it away. So guys, if you have questions, go ahead and just pop them right in the chat so she can get to them, and then we'll unmute everybody at the end if you guys have additional questions once we're done.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to say, guys, you guys have an amazing leader. She spoke last night on my team call, and my coaches were like, okay, we just need to get working because she just delivered straight fire, straight truth. And it's awesome that you guys get to hear from her every single day. Now, in this business, we tend to say that, some of us coaches are preachers and others of us are teachers. I am definitely a preacher. I feel like I can't teach anything. For me, like I was telling Brienne this yesterday, it's just like do. That's the way I've always seen everything. So instead of going through and giving you guys tips, I want to tell you guys a story. I'm going to tell you guys a story about how I grew up. So I love that, Brienne started off the call by saying all my accolades, because right away that kind of puts it like, oh wow, like she's kind of like on this pedestal, like look at all this stuff that she's done. And you guys must probably think that it comes easy for me, because I know that there's certainly people on my team that have said to me, oh well, that's really easy for you to say, or that's really easy for you to do. Well, the truth is that it's not. So I want to tell you guys about how I grew up. So my parents, I'm a second generation Latina. My parents came to this country from the Dominican Republic when they were 15 years old. My father worked as a busboy because he just dropped out of high school. My grandparents stayed in the Dominican Republic. So my dad was completely alone here with his older brothers who just didn't care what he did. So he was a busboy. And he would talk about days in which he didn't even have 25 cents, which was what a McDonald's hamburger cost, to go get something to eat for lunch. My mother worked in a factory with her big sister. When they got married, all that they had was $1,000 between them to buy a mattress and rent an apartment from my uncle and aunt, which is where I was born when I came into the picture. Luckily enough, my uncle, my dad's older brother, met someone that loaned them money to get into the supermarket business. So that's where my parents got started. And when I was little, I don't remember my parents much, because what they would do is that they would wake up at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. They rented this minivan to be able to pick up other employees to go to open the supermarket and stay in the supermarket until they would close the doors at night. And this happened 7 days a week for years. I remember being in 3rd grade and school plays and looking out at all the other parents, and my parents weren't there because they were working. I remember chorus concerts and thinking like, well, I don't really care because my parents aren't here. Or looking out on the playground during lunchtime or recess when I would see like the other moms that would come and help out during lunchtime, and I knew my mom wasn't there. And that's pretty much how I grew up. I remember like it was yesterday. It felt like Christmas morning when I was 12 years old and my dad took his first day off on a Sunday to stay at home with us. Now, I'm the oldest of 4 kids. I have 3 younger brothers. 2 of them, the youngest, are twins, and then I have another brother in the middle. And I'll tell you guys something. The way that we grew up, by the time that I was 8 years old, we moved into a $1 million house. That's how hard my parents work. So come to this country with nothing, not even 25 cents to be able to buy lunch, work hard day and night to be able to provide this kind of lifestyle for our family. I never had a job in high school. I didn't even really need a job when I graduated. Like, I had to make stuff up to put on my resume to get internships in college. But let me tell you guys something. I always believed, because of the way my parents worked and how hard I saw them work, that to be the best I could be was my obligation, my responsibility. And I was valedictorian of my high school class. And we actually moved back to the Dominican Republic for 2 years during high school. I graduated from there at this American accredited high school. And the culture over there, it's like, let's party all the time. And like the drinking age, who cares what the drinking age is? Like, you're just going to go out and you're going to drink and you're going to party. So while I was my senior year of college, while all my friends were out partying, I remember staying home and doing homework religiously, no matter what, because success was my obligation. Fast forward to college, and I got scholarships. I was accepted into Parsons School of Design. I wanted to be an art major. And I remember my father actually went with me to register. And he said to me, I want you to deny all of the student loans because your education is going to be my inheritance to you. And let me tell you guys, Parsons is a pretty penny. It's a pretty penny. But there's this man who worked day and night tirelessly to create a better life for us than what he had. So for him to walk me there and take out his checkbook and just write the full amount of my tuition for that semester, I felt the weight of that. And I knew I was going to take it seriously. And I worked tirelessly in college as well. I went to college. I did great. I got an internship, my last year of school. I ended up being hired by that company. I went into entertainment marketing. I did great there too. But here's the thing. When you're working for somebody else, the time isn't yours. I was in entertainment marketing, which meant that the office would be open from 10 to 6. But then after 6, you'd have to go to all the networking parties and the album release parties. And I was like busting my ass every day, bringing in more accounts than anybody else. But yet that wasn't enough for them, because unless I stayed past 6 and attended all those parties, I still wasn't doing my job. And at that point, I'm 25, 26 years old. My boyfriend and I were getting serious. I wanted to get married. I wanted to start a family. And I remember I said to a mentor of mine who worked for the publishing company BMI, I asked him, I'm like, well, how do you balance a career and family? And his answer to me was, you don't. You just don't. And that weighed so heavily on me. And I decided to quit. And I went to work for my father. So it's like it all came full circle, and I came back to work with my dad. And let me tell you guys something about the supermarket business. It's not fun. I can go out and grab donuts whenever I want, I have everything right there at my disposal, but I wasn't being challenged anymore. I love a challenge. I was raised to love a challenge. And although I was able to get married and I had 2 little guys back to back, I felt like I lost myself. I felt that challenge was gone. Every day was the same thing. I go in, count the money, pay the bills. Go in, count the money, and pay the bills. And I felt like I lost part of myself. I started to gain weight, and I wasn't happy. And it was when my little one was 6 months old that I posted on social media that I needed to go back to the gym. But Malamars, which are my favorite cookie, raise your hand. Dick, do you guys know what Malamars are? Malamars, are amazing, and they only come into stores like this time of year when it's cold enough. So I was like, I posted on social media that I can't go back to the gym because Malamars are in season and I have to eat the Malamars. And that's when my coach reached out to me, and she invited me to be part of her challenge group. And 1 month in, I wanted a discount on Shakeology, because let me tell you guys how I was living at that point. At that point, my husband and I were paycheck to paycheck because my dad owned the supermarket. I didn't own the supermarket. My husband wasn't doing great at his job. And being that my parents worked so hard, and that, I was supposed to take this further than they did, I felt like a failure at that point in my life. I felt like, here I am working for my dad. Like, how pathetic is that? And I never wanted to ask them for anything. So I would make do with whatever we had. I'm not the type to ever ask anybody for help when something's in my capability to do. So 1 month in, and we were struggling. Like, the challenge pack for me, I paid $180 for my Chalene Extreme challenge pack. And I thought to myself, this is expensive enough to make me do it, so it won't be something that I'll just put on the shelf or something that I don't drink, but cheap enough that I could put it on the credit card and it's not going to hurt me. Because with my husband and I living paycheck to paycheck, we had over $12,000 in credit card debt. We were basically putting groceries every week on the credit card. And it was just a scary time. I remember my little one was wearing his older brother's hand-me-downs. And I felt like such a failure as a mom to think to myself, I have to wait till the end of the week until I get paid to buy my son pants so he doesn't look like this right now. And I just felt pathetic. And joining a challenge group was my first attempt at getting me back. Because moms, we put ourselves on the back burner. And that was my first attempt to get control back into my life. And I started to feel better. I started to feel more energy. I started to feel like me again. And I had all these people asking me, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I kept sending them to my coach. I saw cousins of mine sign up as coaches with my coach. Because you guys know that story of, there's a story that there's this flood and there's a woman on top of a house praying to God to rescue her. And people kept passing by on rafts. And she kept saying, no, it's okay. I'm waiting for God to rescue me. That's how I was. That's exactly how I was. And I didn't think Audrey, well, maybe you can become a coach, until my Shakeology was going to ship again. And I thought to myself, okay, let me do this. Maybe this is the opportunity that God had been sending me. And Saudi Almonte is my upline coach. And I remember I heard about her and how she left her job in education to now make all this money doing this, selling this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? If she can do it, why can't I? I've built successful businesses before, and what I was doing in entertainment marketing, I can do this again. So I got to work, and my first week as a coach, I made $337. And when I look back at my earnings, it's always been like that consistency. Because I thought to myself, if I help just 2 people a week feel like I feel right now, empowered again, feeling like I have control of my life again, then at least I can buy groceries without having to put that on a credit card too. And actually, something else that happened that week that I signed up as a coach, my husband lost his job. And then paycheck to paycheck became just me. And as I was doing Chalene Extreme, I remember I got home and I said to myself, okay, Audrey, the day he called me to tell me that he got laid off, I said, you can go home right now and feel bad for yourself and feel bad for the situation that you're in, or you can go home, press play, and be empowered and figure out what you're going to do in your case. And I went home, pressed play, and got to work. Let me tell you guys how I built my business. I'm an inside leg, which at the time I didn't even know what that meant. And when I found out, I felt bad for myself, but that's another story. But I didn't know people like that. I didn't know how I was going to make this work. I just knew that I was. And I was still working in the store every day. I was breastfeeding. So I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So Brianna knows I'm a New Yorker. The store is in the Bronx by Yankee Stadium, which is about an hour away from where I live. So I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, not to work out like I do now, but to pump, because my baby was sleeping through the night. So I would pump breast milk, and I would go to work, drive an hour to work, where I would do personal development on the way to work. I would go to the store to open the store from 7 until 5 o'clock. And on the way home, I would schedule all my calls with prospects. While I was at work, I was like actually scheduling them and planning posts while doing work. Then I would do all the calls with prospects on my way home. From the moment that I got home, it was pressing play, and then dinner, spending time with my family, spending time with my husband. And my little ones, like I needed to be in bed with them or they wouldn't sleep. So I would set the alarm on my phone for 9 p.m. because I knew I would fall asleep with them in the bed. And then I would every single night go to sleep. At 9, my alarm clock would go off and I would wake up and go to the kitchen where I had my laptop and I would go to work on this business, joining team trainings, finding whatever I could on YouTube, just researching other coaches, inviting, planning social media posts, and until about midnight every single night. And I did that for months. And I still do that. And by 2 years in the business consecutively, I started to earn 6 figures in my business. And I still work in my family business. And at this point, it's about legacy. It's not even because I have to. I've been able to cut down. I go 20 hours a week just to look over the books and make sure that everything's okay. But I've been able to buy my freedom, because sometimes we look at like, what's your why? And, you know, that's hard to think sometimes, like, okay, what really motivates me when you're in a rut? And, you know, this seems like something that's so far reaching. Sometimes the best way to do it is look at what pisses you off. And for me, what was pissing me off the most is that I can be there for my kids, that I had somebody else. Basically, I was working to pay somebody else to take care of my kids and missed those most amazing moments in their lives. I wasn't there, and that pissed me off. And I was able to buy that for myself with this business. And not only that, my husband has an eye disease called keratoconus, which will eventually leave him blind if he doesn't get the surgery that's not covered by the FDA yet. So if the surgery isn't covered by the FDA yet, it's not covered by insurance. And we had to pay out of pocket for that. It's $4,000 per eye. And when you're living paycheck to paycheck, unfortunately, your husband's eye disease, which could leave him blind, becomes something that you have to put on the back burner. And what do most people do? Most people go into panic mode and feel bad for themselves and complain, like, why me? But that's just not the way I was raised. And that's not what I believe in. I believe that God gives us opportunities, and it's our obligation to be successful and carry everything out to the best of our abilities. So I remember when I hit to Star Diamond, when I was earning that month already in my business and my first Star Diamond bonus, guess what we did? We scheduled my husband's eye surgery, and I went into that office and I paid cash. And that was one of the most rewarding things I have ever done in my life. Or I remember back in the days, I used to go to Disney.com and try to map out like this whole dream package vacation for my kids because they wanted to go to Disney. And my parents took us to Disney. Like, I had a great upbringing once my parents were able to do it. And then I'd go to Disney and I would be like, okay, so like 4 days, $7,000, and that doesn't even include flights. Like, I'll never be able to do this. And I would X out the browser and just cry to myself, feeling like a failure. Because, you know, guys, I don't want you guys to think that it's about the money. It's about that feeling that you know that when you want to give your kids and your family the world, the opportunity to say, I can do that without having to check your bank account and think like, I just can't. You know, I want to be able to give my kids the world if it creates memories for them, you know? So I would feel bad for myself. And for my son's 6th birthday last year, we booked a Disney trip to the Bahamas, a Disney cruise to the Bahamas, and then we spent 3 days in Animal Kingdom, paid cash because of what I've been able to build with this Beachbody business. So what I want to say to you guys tonight is that this business is such a blessing. You know, just yesterday I was I was posting in my Clean Week Challenge group, and my son comes over to me. He's like, Mommy, what are you doing? And I told him, I explained to him, I'm like, you see, these are the people that Mommy helps. When you see Mommy on her phone, it's because I'm reaching out to other mommies that want to feel better and work out at home with their kids like you do with me. So I help them, and I'm able to do it from my home because when I was little, I didn't see Mama and Papa. Mama and Papa weren't home. So I'm able to work and be here with you. Isn't that cool? And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he runs off. Like, he doesn't understand it, but I'm grateful that I've been able to do this. So then I look at this business. And one of the main excuses that I get from, especially other moms, because you attract who you are. So I have, most of my team is made up of moms, is, you know, my husband isn't supportive, or, you know, I spend too much time working the business, or I want to make sure that I'm there for my kids. You know, I don't want to put my kids on the back burner for this business. Like, first of all, time management is super important. You need to delegate what your roles are. For me, that's why I would get home, press play, and then make sure that my phone was away. Now spending time with my family. And now I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do my workout, so I don't have to do that later on in the day, and it's all for my family. But that's the first thing, time management. Other than that, this business is a blessing because you're able to do this from home and be there with your kids, no matter what. Be there with your husband, not have to go out of your home to be able to provide for your family. You know, 2 weeks ago, I went to Inc. Magazine's Women's Summit, and, you know, the Sarah Blakely, the CEO of Spanx, was there, and all of these like high-profile women, the co-founder of Rent the Runway, and they were talking about starting their businesses and looking for venture capitalists to fund their business. So I'm thinking like, wow, like we know what it takes to lift the business off the ground, right? Because we do it every day. We're inviting, we're, you know, planning our social media strategies, we're working with our team, and that enough is pressure, balanced with our families. Imagine if we had to do that, plus go out and pitch your business to venture capitalists for them to believe in you. Because when they tell you no, it actually is personal. You know, when we get a no from somebody, that's not personal. They're really not ready right now. And 99.9% of the time, they always come back. So when you are putting yourself out there in a business like that and a venture capitalist tells you no, they really don't believe in you and they don't believe in your business. And that's hard rejection. That is tough. But we are so blessed that we're able to build this business that pays us to be in the best shape of our lives, pays us to work on our mindset, pays us to be able to do this from home with our family. And not only that, they recognize us. You know, I told you guys that when I started, my why was so big. I had to pay the bills, and there's no way I was ever going to ask my parents for help. I remember my mom called me when she found out that my husband was laid off. And she said to me, Audrey, what do you need? Anything that you need, let me know. And I remember that with a lump in my throat, I said, no, Mom, I'm good. Because there was no way that being their daughter and seeing how hard they worked, I was going to make any excuses for what I was capable of. And I never asked for help. So that first month, you know, back in that time, Beachbody would reward the top Success Club earners with the Success Club trip. And I remember checking my email, and I got this email saying that I won a free trip to Disney. And I called my upline coach, and I'm like, this is spam, right? Like, what is this? And she starts screaming on the phone. And I'm like, what happened? She's like, no, you won this trip. You won the trip to Disney. So telling me that I love this company, I love Shakeology, I love working out, I've lost 10 pounds to date, I'm helping other people, I get paid to help other people, and they're just giving me a free trip on top of that? Really? Like, where else are you going to get, like, I know my dad doesn't give me that. Sometimes my dad's like, I pay you more, like, don't I pay you more than Shakeology? I'm like, no, Dad, you don't pay me more than Shakeology. You know, I'm like, you need to give me a free trip, a free cruise somewhere or something like that. I know that when I worked for the companies that I worked for in the past, I never got treated like that. Like, we have such a blessing here. And the only way you are ever wasting your family's time is if you don't make this work. I love what Brianne said on my team call last night, that it's all about consistency. And that's what I've been from day one of this business. Every single day, I work my business. It doesn't matter if I make 6 figures in this business. And I love the income disclaimer because it talks about how hard you have to work. Your success isn't guaranteed. Your success is solely dependent on you and how you choose to show up every day. It doesn't matter what Brianne does or your upline coach does. It depends on you, your mindset, and how you choose to attack your day. So every single day, I've showed up to my business. I've been sick and I've showed up to my business. I've had sick kids, double ear infections, and you guys know how much that sucks. And I've showed up to my business. I've been on vacation and I've shown up to my business. I remember, and this might sound a little harsh, but I spoke on a team call one day and I asked them like, who didn't hit Success Club last month? And someone raised their hand and I asked them like, why didn't you hit Success Club? And they were like, oh, well, a friend of the family's passed away. So it was a really hard month. And I gave them my condolences. But the thing was that week I buried my grandmother and I still hit Success Club 23 that month. There really is no excuse for you to not work on yourself and help other people in the process, no matter what's going on in your life. And I know life is hard because even right now, I'm going through some serious stuff in my life, but I still choose to show up because you have 2 choices every day. Either you can give in to the self-pity and feeling like a victim, but that's only short-term comfort. In the long run, that doesn't help you. In the long run, you're going to feel defeated and you're not going to build anything. And for everyone that says to me that they don't want to take time away from your family, that's how you waste time. You waste time by being stop and go. If my parents back in the day didn't make the best of what they had to build a future for us, to create this legacy, because now my entire family works in this business. Most of my parents' siblings work in our supermarkets. We have a couple of them now because of what they built 35 years ago. So now they have this legacy to carry on, and you have the ability to do the same thing. So when I think about my parents and all those times that they missed my school plays, that they missed my chorus and all those things, it doesn't hurt me because I see what they created. And I'm grateful for that, because if they didn't, I would have been angry, I would have been resentful, and I wouldn't have this foundation that I have today in what they've given me, which is honestly worth so much more than them having sat there front row in my 3rd grade, Nutcracker play. Because they gave me something that now I've been able to build on, that's gotten me through some of the hardest points in my life when my husband was without a job, because that was actually one of the hardest points in our marriage when he was without a job, because finances and marriage sucks. And even now, everything for me, I see it as a teaching opportunity, because I take what my parents given me, what I've learned from Beachbody, and now it's the way I teach my kids. To be able to pass those things along to my kids, and it's because of this business. So I want you guys to look at this opportunity that you have as a blessing. Do some days suck? Yes. I get coach cancellation emails all the time. I get drama in my team all the time. I get no's all the time. And these accolades, the accolades are awesome. So like 7-star, 5-star, diamond in my 3rd business center, beautiful. But I want you guys to know the work that it took to get there. Work, blood, sweat, and tears, because I've cried over this business. And this year, I'm not going to lie, this year has been a hard year across the board. This year has sucked. But you know what? I'll tell you one thing. When I think about back in the hardest moments of my business, building the business, those are the moments that I treasure the most, because they made me stronger. They've made me who I am. And that's how I view this year. And that's how I view how I'm going to continue to grow. Because every day I look at this business as, how can I be better? How can I do more? I never think I arrived, ever. I always think, okay, well, now how am I going to improve myself? Now how can I add more value? Because it's never over. It's never over. It's always attacking every brand new day with new enthusiasm, new goals, and approaching everything with the best of your ability. So what I like to tell my team is that every day you show up in your life and you set a bar and you demand excellence of yourself every single day. The basics are just the 4 vital behaviors. That's just the basics. How can you go above and beyond that? And it's one example I can think about is, you know, we have our sons in martial arts, and my husband's my father-in-law passed away like 2 weeks ago. So we were missing for about 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks we've been missing from there. We didn't tell them that he passed away, but we're friends on social media. And I never saw them comment or anything. But on Tuesday, my husband brought him back to class, and the sensei gave my husband a card signed by all of the senpais and everybody that works there. And we were like, wow, that is so amazing. So every day I want you to show up to this business, especially if you're not happy, if things aren't going the way you want them to, and just think, how can I add more value? How can I be better? How can I touch somebody today? Because that's the surest way to start turning things around and giving you more enthusiasm in your business so that you can start seeing more gains and you can start to be more consistent in your business. So take that bar, never ever demand less of yourself, but more every single day, and just take it from there. And before I end, I want to share a video with you guys because I'm all about personal development, because life sucks sometimes, and I'm not going to lie. Business gets hard, family gets hard. You don't feel like it. You want to just like binge watch on TV all day, and I've been there. But it's on us to get ourselves out of the rut. We have to be self-motivators and not wait for things to get better, not wait for Monday. So my father-in-law dies. And that week I had also my wisdom teeth extracted. So I was like in a total funk. I didn't work out for a week. And I said to myself, it was a Saturday. I said to myself, okay, Audrey, you can wait till Monday and be like everybody else, or you can start today. And I started on a Saturday, because that's what we need to do. We can't depend on anybody else to give us the green light or for things to get better. We have to take those opportunities, seize them, and make them possible ourselves. So I listened to this guy named Tom Bilyeu. He is the CEO of Quest Nutrition, and he actually started his own personal development company called Impact Theory. I love Impact Theory, and I listen to it all the time. So I want to share a video with you guys that I shared with my team last week, and I know it's just going to blow you guys away. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Brianne, can you give me the thumbs up if you hear it and you see it? Okay.
Everybody wants to be successful, but virtually nobody understands that success is a path. It's a process. It's not a finish line. It's not something that you do once and then you finish. It is literally the systematic acquisition of skills. And as Scott Adams said, every skill you acquire doubles your odds of success. And that's it. That's the secret. If you really want to do something in your life, if you really want to be great, if you want to smash it, if you want to be remembered, the key is to acquire as many skills as you can, because everything that you bring into your world gives you an exponentially greater chance of winning, of doing the thing that you want to do. But you have to be totally focused and committed on gaining those skills. And as The Rock pointed out, success at anything will always come down to this: focus and effort, and we control both. Once you understand that that's what you have to do, you have to get control of yourself. You have to stay focused on something. You have to learn the discipline and apply it on your path to success to acquire the skills that you want to acquire. That it is going to demand of you that you work harder, you work smarter, and you work longer than anybody else. And that's the fucking secret. There really is no grand mystery. If you want to be successful, if you want to do something other people can't do, then you have to become capable of the extraordinary. You have to become capable of doing something that other people can't. And that is the best possible news I could give you. Because it doesn't matter what you're born with. It doesn't even matter who you are. What matters is who you want to become and the price that you're willing to pay to get there. And let me tell you this, the price is known. And that price is the acquisition of skills. That price is getting so good that people can ignore you. That price is being able to beat anyone at the game that you've chosen to play. Once you get to that point, once people stand back in awe when they watch what you're doing, then you will have won. Then success will be yours. But it was in no uncertain terms the result of the path that you walked. And as Angela Duckworth notes, enthusiasm is common, but endurance is rare. So when you sneak out that first lead, when you get ahead of people and you think, hey, I've acquired the skill, I've done something, people are looking at me like I can't be stopped. Remember that right now, at this moment, someone is practicing. While you're not doing the thing that you need to be doing, while you're sitting back in your laurels, very happy with what you've accomplished, somebody else is going to eat your lunch because they have a passion and enthusiasm that endures. And at the end of the day, if you can want something so badly, if you fucking burn from the inside to do something, to become capable of more, then you will endure. Then you'll be able to push past other people. Then when other people break and they lie in your wake, you will push forward, because that fucking thing in you that you have cultivated is the ability to endure. It is not the ability to be a badass. It is not the ability to think that you're cool. It is the ability to kick your own ass, to deal with what is boring, to live in the pain, to step towards anguish, to know that suffering is a choice and you choose to turn it off because you know on the other side of endurance, on the other side of outlasting everybody else, is a skill set that makes you unstoppable.
I mean, doesn't that just make you like want to like jump out of your chairs right now? Like, enthusiasm is common, but endurance is rare. And it's endurance that builds this business. It's endurance that's going to make you successful. And it's doing that stuff that sucks. Something I recently told my team is this. You know, every single bit of personal development that we do, every success story from like, you know, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, every one of them had something horrible happen to them, right? Like, they've always faced a hardship. So why is it that when we hit walls in this business, all of a sudden we want to quit, and all of a sudden we question if it's for us or not? So if you know that that's the path that you must walk, then that's when you become unstoppable. That's when you develop your endurance. Know that when you get through those obstacles, those roadblocks, those moments that suck, or the moments that are just boring, that you don't want to show up to your challenge groups, that you don't want to work out, when you get past that, you are going to be an amazing person, an unstoppable person that nobody can hold back and that everybody has to respect. Not just in the business, but in your family and your friends and everybody that you know. Because life is always going to hand you things that aren't going to be comfortable, that are going to make you question yourself. And it's what you do in those moments that define you and the business that you build and the leader that you are, and the way that everybody sees you, from your customers to your network to your team. So ultimately, it's in your hands and how you choose to show up every single day.
That's awesome. I had to like write down the video that he was that you played, because I want to go back and now put like a play together. It's amazing. And it's so true, guys. Like, it's just, you just have to show up, and show up when it's hard. And like Audrey said, the days that suck and the hardest days are the ones that you'll look back and realize that they're the days that gave you the most progress in your business. You know, like there's no big secret. Do you guys have any questions for Audrey before we let her go?
And thank you guys. I'm seeing the comments on the chat box. Thank you guys. I'm sorry for all the cursing in the video. Like,
oh, that's not, believe me, that's nothing compared to what they hear from me. That's nothing. So I want to ask you. So you're still working at your parent. You're still working, right, at the grocery store.
Yeah. So I do all of that.
So, all right. Yeah, this was
Thank you.
fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on and talk with us tonight. I really appreciate it. I know you took extra time from your family and your husband to come on with us, so thank them for us and for coming on, guys. So we'll have this recording up. Thank you guys for all taking the time to hop on tonight. I hope that this was as helpful for you guys as it was for me. And I love what you said, that success is our obligation. Like we have to be the best that we can be. And if you're not living up to the potential and the gifts that you have, like, what are you doing? You know? But thank you so much. This was fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll see you